So let's start. So let me start the ID just a minute. Okay. So in the last class, you see, we were going through this HTTP. Sorry, we're going through this web service, RESTful web service development, and I'm sorry, and we saw this methods how to develop this RESTful resource methods. Basically, this class which you got here, it's called as a root resource class, which is annotated with annotation path, and we have a URL configured for it. And you'll find that the RESTful resource methods they will be annotated with they'll be annotated with this type of annotations like get, post. So this annotations are called as at the rate. So you see this at the rate. Basically, it is called as HTTP method designator. At the rate get is actually called as HTTP method designator. Okay, it's a method designator. We say HTTP method designator. Just a second. Yeah. So you'll find that you have four method designators altogether. One is get, put, post, and delete. These are different method designators which you got. So you will find that each method designator it got a specific meaning. You know, I can say that first of all, that method designator on top of the method, it indicates that that method can handle that HTTP method request. So each method basically it represents one HTTP method. Each method designator it represents one HTTP method, I can say. You see, like at the rate get, it represents that get. And similarly, posts and delete and so on. So each method designator, they represent one HTTP method, I can say. Okay, yes, they represent one HTTP method. Yes, here and this is one thing. That means each method designator, it indicates that it handles that particular method request. So get, it indicates that it handles that get method request, HTTP method get request. And similarly, you will find that the put here, it indicates that it handles HTTP method put method request, post method request, delete method request. Yes. You know, there is one more meaning here for this methods. You'll find that there is one more meaning. So what is it? Now each method here, it represents a particular type of operation. For example, this get method, it represents a read operation, I can say. A read operation, it represents a read operation. Put method represents a create, I can say, or an add operation, I can say. And post method represents an update operation. Delete method represents a delete operation, I can say. Yes. Each method, it represents a particular operation. Yeah. Okay. So according to this REST architecture, you'll find that here we use this four methods, HTTP methods, which represent four CRUD operations. You see, already we have discussed about this HTTP methods. Now you know uh, what exactly each HTTP method represents this, what exactly they represent, right? Why the client uses it. You see, that HTTP method meaning, uh, it suits that functionality of that methods. Generally, you see, a client, it uses HTTP method get to fetch a resource, right? That means a kind of read operation, I can say. The client uses a HTTP method put to add a resource. It means adding a resource. That is one of the operations. And client uses HTTP method post to fetch a resource. right? But here in this case, you'll find that even we can add a pass on some data, that is also possible. So that is, it represents an update operation, I can say. Even you'll find that people also use post for adding. Okay, yes, people also use post for adding. Next, you have delete. You know, HTTP method delete is used by the client to delete a resource on the server, right? So each HTTP method, it represents a particular operation. You see, we call them as CRUD operations generally. CRUD, CRUD operations. CRUD, CRUD operations means, you see, create, read, update or delete. Create or add means the same here. Apart from that, you have, sorry, create means adding. I'm sorry, create means adding. R means read. C for create, R for read, U for update, D for delete. These are CRUD operations, we say generally. Okay. Now you see, based on the behavior or functionality of that methods, you need to use this method designators appropriately. You have to use the method designators appropriately. Okay. Yes. So now, for example, you see, as of now, this method which you got here, using this method, the clients will be able to fetch that product details. That means they are reading some data. Okay. That's the reason why I've used this I've used that annotation at the rate get. Okay. Fine. So hope you people got it. So just keep this in mind. Based on the type of operation, you'll be using the appropriate method designators to represent that method operations. Okay. Yeah. Now you see, as of now, this method takes one path parameter, right? Yeah. For suppose, let's say, um, I want to fetch the records based on two conditions: product ID, and let's say the product name should start with some character, let's say. Okay. Yes. So you see, in that case, that method should take two parameters, right? Let me add a method here. Find product by ID and name, let's say. So it will take ID as well as name, let's say the initial letters of that name. The name should start with something. So we have written such queries earlier, right? Yes. Fine. So here, you see, we have two path parameters, I can say. I'll register these two parameters as path parameters. For that, we'll use this annotation at rate path parameter. ID, name. So let me again annotate it with get. Now this method takes two path parameters, right? Yes. One is the ID. The other parameter, you'll do this. Name. That's it. This is how you'll be registering. Okay. Next, we'll specify that produces this method. Let's say it produces XML data. Now here, first of all, we'll obtain a session. Now if we have to fetch the records, product records whose ID is greater than that ID which will be passed on, and the name should start with something. Okay. Yes, name should start with some character. So for that, how will you do that in Hibernate? If you have to write a query to fetch the product records based on the ID and name, then what you will do? Okay, so we need to write a criteria. And what is the other option? Either we can write a criteria or a HQL query, right? Yeah. So let's write a HQL query. Okay. Yes. So session dot create query. Select P from product P, where P dot ID greater than question mark and P dot name like person. Okay. So is there any issue with the query? Just check once. Okay. Now you see this query takes two parameters, right? And the two parameters here will be passed on to this, will be passed on to this method, you see, which is stored in this variables. Let's assign those values. Query dot set parameter, the index is 1. Now it starts with 0. Sorry, you set int. Index is 0. You have to assign that ID. The other one is string, the product name. Index is 1. You pass that name. That's it. So we are assigning the values to the bind parameters. Okay. Yes. Okay. So now we got this query. So we have to execute this query here. We have to execute this query. So you see, as of now, we are going to get only one record as a result of executing this query, right? So in that case, which method you will use here? Yeah, hello. Can you people hear me? Okay, I'm sorry, I lost the connection. So now I have a question for you people. My question is, as of now, you see, as a result of executing this query, you're going to get a single record, right? Just one record. So in this case, which method you're going to use here to execute this query? Which method you're going to use to execute this query? Unique result method. We have unique result method, right? Very good. That's right. Excellent. So we have to use unique result method. What is the other method which you got here? What is the other method which you got here? Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to get multiple records, right? Yeah, I'm sorry. That's right. Thanks for correction. Yes. So we won't get one record. You're going to get multiple records. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. I'm just thinking about even the first method itself, which you have written earlier. So it should be list here. Yes. So now we'll use the list. Okay. So you'll get list of product objects, right? Yes. So we'll return that list here. Okay. So always, oh yeah, that's all. No, I'm fetching the complete record. I'm not just fetching the record for partially. We are fetching the complete record. See if some the condition, okay, I'm writing multiple conditions, but still we are fetching the complete record. You see in the query you have select P. P represents the whole record, the complete product record. Okay, yes. Okay, no problem. Yes. Now this is what we have here. Let's try to test this code which you have written. Now I have a question for you people. So can you people tell me how to call this method now? How to call this method, which takes two parameters. So forget about the project path. At least consider this URL of this RESTful resource class, and based on that you tell me. Yeah. Yes. How will you call this resource method now, RESTful resource method? what is the URL for this class? Come on, you should be able to easily tell me. So REST product service 102. It is not comma, it is slash again. Always path parameters will have slash. Okay. Yes. Excellent. Did a good work. Almost close. Okay. So REST is a prefix slash product service, and we'll pass two parameters. Let's say 110 slash. Let's say the product ID should be greater than 110. Product name should start with, let's say, L. Let's see if you got any records. Oh, sorry. There is a typo mistake. Product service. So basically, there are no records here. Yes. And let's say the product ID will change it to 105. Let's say. Okay. Even then, you don't have any records. Let's say yes. We'll try S. Okay. Even for S also, you don't have any records. Huh? Okay. For T, let me see. Is it? Let me check once. Let's see the records once. Yeah. Is there any issue? But we have a product record. There are a couple of product records whose name starts with S here. You see, whose ID is greater than 105. Let me see why it's not fetching the records here. The condition is right, absolutely. Let me review this query once. I don't see anything wrong with this query, right? Okay, let me try to print the records. Okay. Ah, yes, that's right. That part is missing here, right? Yeah. So I'll add a percentile here itself. Let's see what happens. Yes, it won't work this way, right? Okay, that's right. So to this string, I'll add that percentile here. So instead of user supplying that percentile, yeah, that was missing. Good. Thank you. Yes, that's right. Yeah. This time you got the records. I missed that percentile. Okay. So this way, you see, you can pass the path parameters. You can add any you can add any number of path parameters. Okay. So I wanted to show you people this path parameters here. So hope this is clear for you people, right? So any questions in this regard, please let me know. Okay, good. So hope everyone got it. Now let's move on. You know, for the method, we can also pass another type of parameters called as query parameters. We got something called as query parameters. So for suppose I want to fetch the product. Yeah, you see we have this path parameter, right? I'm sorry. So we'll change this path parameter to query parameter. Okay, let's change this path parameter to query parameter. Yes. Sorry, path parameter to query parameter. The other way. We'll change that path parameter to query parameter. Okay. Yes. Path parameter to query parameter. I'll comment this method. I'll copy the whole code so that you can use it for your reference. I'll retain that method. Now, if it is path parameter, sorry, query parameter, first of all, you add this annotation at the rate query parameter here. Okay. And I can say that for that query parameter, you got this name. For that query parameter, you got this name here. Yes. Fine. Now we don't need to explicitly mention this here. Okay, at the rate path is not needed. Okay, just do this. You don't need to mention anything explicitly. Okay. Now let's see how to pass a query parameter. I have just changed it to @path param. Sorry, @query param from path param, and I'm not using any path here. Okay, again, just will redeploy this application. Query parameter means I can say you people are familiar with query parameters. I can say that you people are familiar with query parameters. Okay. What is it? REST product service. Now, how do we pass that query parameter? Can you people tell me? Yes. Query parameter. Yes, that's right. Question mark. Now parameter name is ID, and then you can pass a value. Let's say 105. Okay. Question mark followed by the parameter name equal to that value, parameter value here, whatever you have. So press enter. So this is about query parameters. So basically, for these methods, we can pass another type of parameters. You can say we can pass one more type of parameters. We can pass another type of parameters. They're called as form parameters. I can say yes. Now, for suppose, let's say, I would like to add a method here. I would like to add a method here in this service. That method, it should take the product details. A resource method which takes the product details, and it should add that product details to the database. Okay. To supply this product details here, okay, or to take the product details from the client, from the end users. Let's say I would like to provide a form. Okay, in the product details, I would like to read those product details from the form. I would like to read them from the form. Okay, yes. So let's create a form here. It's already I got that form. You know the creation of form, right? So let me quickly make use of it. Oh, yes. You see, just check this form. You see, we got a product form here. The product form, that means, I'm sorry, you got a HTML form. That HTML form, in that HTML form, we got this text fields like product ID, product name, you see product price and description. Right? Yes. Here, you'll find that when this form is submitted, a post request will be placed. Right? When the form is submitted, HTTP method post request is placed here. And the request will be placed for that URL product service. Right? And you see this form data will be passed on to that RESTful resource method. I want RESTful resource method here to handle this request, form request. Okay, I want RESTful resource method to handle this request, I can say. Yes. You see, now how that form parameters can be passed onto that RESTful resource method. Okay, So we can configure them as form parameters, I can say. Yes, it is possible. Let's see what to do. Fine. Now the text field names, what are the name, ID, name, price, and description. Add product. I'll add the parameters like ID, name, say description, and price. So here, what we can do is we can bind this method parameters to that form parameters, I can say. It is possible to bind this method parameters to the form parameters. What happens if we bind this method parameters to that form parameters? You see, whenever that form is submitted, this method will be called. So to this method, that form data will be passed on. See, the whatever the data which you have in the text fields will be populated into the appropriate variables here. Okay. So for each text field in the form will have a parameter. So whatever the data which is typed in the text fields will be auto-populated into this form, into this method parameter sequence. So we don't have to explicitly write any code to read that form data and populate it into this parameters. So that is going to be one of the advantages here, I can say. Yes. So let's do this. First of all, can you people tell me what is the annotation which you have to use here in this case? We have to use put, or we can also use post. Okay. Yes, you'll find that even post is fine. Anything is fine here. So because you see already for this form we got post, I would like to show you people we can also use post here. Okay. Yes. Use post for both add or update. It works. So now I'll use this annotation at the rate post here. Okay. And now what I'll do is I'll configure that form parameters. Form param. You know, we need to configure that text field name here in that form parameter annotations. You see, we got this form parameter annotations, right? You see in the brackets here, we have to specify that text field name. So this form parameter, you want to map it to which text field? This form parameter should be mapped to which text field? So the text field name, you're going to configure it here. Similarly, you can do the same for others. Form param, say name, description. price. Okay, just check this. Okay, now you see, we'll take that form data and I'll populate it into a product object here. Okay, I'll do this. So I'll instantiate that product class. We'll populate the data into that product object. That's it. Okay, so now let's obtain this session object and we'll add the product details which are in that product object to the database. So you know that we have to start a transaction here for this session dot get transaction begin and then close. Okay, so this is how you see we can use this form parameters. So we have different types of parameters for the method, right? Yeah. So how do we call this method now? So what should be the URL? So this time, in order to place a request for that method, so we have to use that URL product service itself. Product service itself will be used, but we have to use which HTTP method here to place a request. Which HTTP method should be used to place a request? Yes, we have to use post. HTTP method post should be used. Now we can't simply type in that URL in the address bar and access this method, because this time this method should be the request for this method should be placed using post method. Okay, yes. So through the form itself it is possible. So add product. Now first we'll call this JSP page. You got this form. Now you can type in the data here. Let me do this. First of all, we'll check this IDs. Okay, you have till 103, 131, say Tata, okay, something like this. So now these are the details. Now submit the form. So when I submit the form, the request will be placed for that URL product service and HTTP method. Post is used for that purpose. I'll click on add product. So you're not going to get any response here, but down you see that insert query in the console. If you can see this, that insert query is generated in the console. You'll find that the insert query is generated. Yes. Okay. Let me see whether that record is added. Now we can send some response also if you want. That is possible, not a problem. It's 131. So we got that record. Fine. So these are form parameters. So hope this is clear for you people, the form parameters. So any questions in this regard regarding the form parameters? Form parameters. Okay, good. I hope you understood that here the RESTful web services, yes, it provides a lot of features, and we have explored few features now. So apart from that, you see, you'll find that it helps us to produce that XML data, which is platform and language independent, right? So it helps us to produce the data, which is platform and language independent. What is it? XML data, right? We got the support for producing XML data, I can say. Yes. Now, I'll show you people one more data representation. You see, XML is one data representation, I can say. What is XML? XML is one of the data representations. And that means XML is used to represent the data, you know that. So apart from XML, so what are the other data representations which you got? Can you people tell me? Apart from XML, what are the other data representations which you got? Which you people are familiar. So we saw other data representations also. Okay, plain text. In Java, did we see any data representations? How is data represented in Java? Objects, yes. We know XML is one way of representing the data. Java objects is another format. Uh, Java Beans also Java objects. And what else? And you have also come across databases, right? How is data represented in the database? Database. What about databases? Yes, we call it as a row or a tuple. Okay. Now there is one more popular data representation, JSON. Okay. There is one more popular data representation, so which is widely used. That is JSON. So can you people talk about JSON? Is anyone familiar with JSON? No idea. Okay. So full form of JSON. Any idea about full form of JSON? JavaScript Object Notation. JSON stands for JavaScript Object Notation. You know what? Here, your RESTful web services which you got here, JAX, RS, and your Jersey. they will also provide the support to produce this JSON data. Okay, so the framework can take the Java objects and convert them into JSON format. Okay, yes, so it is possible. Okay, so but before we work with this JSON, let's try to understand this JSON format here. Okay, we'll try to understand this JSON format. Yes, here uh, for this, let's take the help of W3 Schools and another site. Just a minute. So basically, this is the official site where you will find the details about JSON. We got very important details about JSON, I can say. Yes. Yeah. You see, the first and foremost important point here, please make a note of it regarding JSON. If someone asks you what is JSON, you see, it is also one of the important representations which is used in web technologies also, not only in web services. Yeah. So JSON is a lightweight data interchange format. Data interchange means, again, the way we use XML, okay, for transmitting the data, or for the applications to exchange the data. Similarly, JSON also can be used for the same purpose. Okay, yeah. It's a data interchange format. Yes, it's one way of representing the data, I can say. Next, I have a couple of other important points here regarding JSON. So JSON is a syntax for storing and exchanging data. So that is the same. definition which I gave you people earlier. Yes, it is used for data storage and exchange. You see, JSON is actually considered as an alternative to XML. JSON is an easier to use, and it is actually considered as an alternate to XML. So why we need JSON when we have XML in place? XML, as we have discussed, it is platform dependent, independent, language independent. Okay, yes. So why do we need JSON here then? Why do we need JSON again when we have XML? So anyone got any idea about it? Why we need JSON? Just a minute, please. Just a minute. Yeah, I'm sorry. So why do we need JSON when we had XML in place? What do people think? Yeah, JSON compared to XML is actually easy to process. It's not complicated like XML. It is easy to process for the machines. Even we human beings can easily understand, read JSON data and work with JSON. Okay, yes, easier to use alternative JSON, I can say. So you'll find that JSON is a text format which is language independent. I want you people to make a note of this point. JSON is a text format that is completely language independent. It is completely language independent, I can say. Yes. Okay. JSON is all about the text format itself. Okay. Next, here, this is very, very important. Please make a note of these 2 points. JSON is built on two structures. One is collection of name value pairs. In various languages, this is realized as an object, record, structure, dictionary, hash table, keyed list, or associative array. In different languages, it is represented in different ways. So, you see, collection of name value pairs. Basically, in JSON, we call it as a JSON object. JSON object. You have two basic structures. First is JSON object, which is nothing but it's a collection of key value pairs here. It's a collection of key value pairs. See, in various languages, that means they're just trying to relate this JSON format to other languages. Like you see, in few languages, it is realized as an object. That means in Java, the collection of key value pairs, you can relate it to objects in Java. Okay, we can relate it to objects in Java, I can say. Yes. And in some languages, it is called as a record. You see, when it comes to databases, it is a record. When it comes to C, C++, it is a structure. Especially in C, it is a structure. In other languages, dictionary, map, we got different names, but it is same thing. Different names, but all means the same here. Okay. Yes. So the other important point here is it's an ordered list of values. In most languages, this is realized as an array, vector, list, or sequence. Ordered list of values. Ordered list of values. That means in other languages it is arrays, or you can call it as collections. Okay. So now these are the basic structures. So we represent the data using JSON objects or the arrays, I can say. Okay. Yes. This is important. Now, We'll go through this examples of how this data looks like here in JSON, how it is represented. Okay, but before that, let's do one thing. We'll take a small break of 10 minutes. Okay, so after 10 minutes, we'll continue discussion. Okay, yeah. We'll break a take. We'll take a break of 10 minutes. Yeah, fine. 10 minutes break. Yeah, hi. Hope you people can hear me, right? Okay, good. So now, having understood that this JSON provides two different structures here to represent the data. Let's move on. Okay, so we got very good details here of how a JSON object is represented. Yes, I can say in JSON, you see, an object is an unordered set of name value pairs. An object is nothing but an unordered set of name value pairs, I can say. Here, an object in JSON, it begins with left curly brackets. How is object represented here in JSON? You see, left curly brackets basically they represent an object, I can say. Yeah. And it ends with right curly brackets. Okay, an object is represented using left curly and right curly brackets. It starts with left curly brackets and ends with right curly brackets. So each name is here is uh, is followed by a colon. The name and value pairs are separated by a comma. You'll find that you'll have name value pairs. So name and value are separated by a colon. Name and value are separated by colon, I can say. In an object, you can have multiple name value pairs. In an object, you can have multiple name value pairs. Each name value pair is separated by comma. A name value pair is separated by a colon. Yes. So for example, here you see this is an example. So this is a JSON object, I can say. Please make a note of it. Please make a note of it. Okay. So basically this is an object, I can say, which holds some person details like first name and last name. That's it. Okay. So hope everyone got it. Now similarly, see when we talk about an array, yes, you can just make a note of this. A JSON array. So an array is an ordered collection of values. An array begins with left brackets, so square brackets, and ends with right bracket. It's a square bracket. Okay. So values are separated by comma. So an example of an array here. See is this. Okay. You see, this is an example. Just make a note of it. So you have list of employees here, employee details in this array. How many employee details are there here? How many elements we have, or how many JSON objects are there in this array? What do you people think? Okay, yes. So we have three employees records. So this is how the data is actually represented in JSON. Okay, yes. You see, it is pretty simple and straightforward. So there is nothing complicated here. Yes. So that's all you'll find here. Now I would like you people to just check this tutorial for JSON for further details. Okay. So JSON is very simple, it's not a big technology to learn. Yes, you can check this. Now the question is here, how the RESTful web services, you see, can produce this JSON data. That's important. How the RESTful web services can produce this data, JSON data. Okay, yes. So we got very good support in RESTful web services. But first of all, we need to add some dependencies, and also we need to add some additional configurations also here for this purpose. We need to add some additional configurations as well here. Okay, yes. So let's do this. So first of all, what are the changes which you need to do? Let's see. uh, you'll find that you need some additional dependencies in order to work with this JSON formats or JSON data. Okay, so I'm adding those dependencies here. See, these are the list of jars dependencies which you need to add to work with that JSON data. Okay, please make a note of it, all of you. At least that group IDs. Just make a note of this group IDs. These are all the dependencies. You've got a big list here. That means at least 4 to 5. Next, you see you have one more dependency down. You have a couple of dependencies here. This couple of dependencies also. Yes. Okay. So these are the dependencies which are needed. Next, why we need those dependencies? To make sure that we can work with that JSON data. We do that. Now, additionally, what you need to do is here. I'll tell you just a minute. You need to configure this value in the web.xml file. You see, we have this parameter, right? So we got an initialization parameter, right? Yes. So one of the values is com.mtc.app.services. We have to configure this value. Place a comma followed by this value here. Please make a note of it. Yes. So hope you're done, right? Okay. So these are the configurations which you need to do here. Okay. Yes. Remember, we're using which version of Jersey framework here? Yes. Which version of Jersey are we using? So we're using Jersey 2.x. Okay. Jersey 2. So for Jersey 2, these are all the configurations which are needed. Fine. Now we have this product service, right? Now in place of XML. I'll specify that type as application JSON format. Okay. So this time, what your framework does, it takes this product object and transforms it into JSON. Yes. Okay. It will transform that product object into JSON format here. Yes. Let's deploy this application and test it once. This is what we need to do. So we don't need to write any additional code here for this purpose. Okay. Yeah. So we are going to call this method find product by ID. How? So we'll use this URL product service and place HTTP method get request. Yeah. And it takes a query parameter, remember. So this is the one which we can use here. Okay. Just a minute. This one. Yes, you see, it works. Oh, sorry. No, just a minute. Yes, this one works. It's not XML format, don't worry. Okay. So this browser, it will display this. Now we'll go with some other browser like your Chrome. So now what you're looking at here, what is it? In JSON, what we call it as? So this is your JSON object here. What is it? This is your JSON object. Okay. Yep. So this way you see RESTful Web Services also provides the support for producing JSON data. It helps us to produce JSON data. Yeah. So is it clear for you people? Any questions in this regard, please let me know. Okay, good. So hope everyone got it. If so, let's move forward. Let's go ahead. Now we got one of the important topics here in this RESTful web services. Let me talk about it. That is, we'll be talking about sub resources and sub resource locators. Sub resource and sub resource locators. Okay, yeah. Sub resources and sub resource locator. Sub resource and sub sorry sub resource locator. So what is a sub resource? Let's see. So for that, I'll consider this example. Just a minute. I have to copy a few classes here. Just a minute. Sorry for that disturbance which you got in the background. Sorry. So let's start. Now, first of all, let me show you people how a sub resource looks like. Now you look at the class. You see, in this class, I can say that this is a sub resource. So what is the difference you people will find between a resource and sub resource? Can you people tell me? So what is the difference you see here? What is the difference which you see here between resource and sub resource? Okay, you see, type okay, media type is missing, fine. And what else? Okay, we are implementing interface, and what else? There is one major difference between, okay, don't worry about that interface of producers. So both are same, but still there is one major difference. Path annotation. Path annotation. On top of the class, you see you won't find the top and sorry path annotation. Am I right? You won't see path annotation at the rate path. So that means if you don't add path, what is the thing which is missing here? One important thing which is missing here. What is it? If you don't add path. Yes. You see, there is no URL configured for this method. we don't have URL configured for this method, right? So sorry, for this resource class also there is no URL, so we are not using path annotation, so we cannot directly place a request for this resource class or resource method here. Yes, that's right. Okay, so now let's consider an example to understand what is the need for this type of sub resources and how do we call this sub resource methods. uh, Before that, I just have a question. Is it causing a lot of disturbance in the background? We have noise, so is it causing a lot of disturbance? Please let me know. I have closed almost all the windows, but still we have little bit of noise. Yeah, it's okay, fine. So thank you. So now let's consider an example, a case study. For suppose, let's say you got a company. Let's say it's an MNC. Okay, yes, it is an MNC. Let's say some XYZ amount, XYZ. Okay, it's some XYZ company. You know what? Here, this company has got customers from or customers worldwide. Let's say this company has got customers worldwide. Okay, so now you know that customer details of each country, they're maintained in a separate data source using a separate data source. Okay, and you got a different application altogether. Let's say okay, each country customer details are maintained in a separate data source here. Okay, and they got appropriate services to fetch that customer details of a country. For suppose you see for US, you have a service. Let's say we got a service for US which will fetch the US customer details. Similarly for UK also you got a service which will fetch only UK customer details. Let's say for India also you got a service. Similarly, let's say for other countries also, you have appropriate services which can be used to fetch the details above of that particular country customers. For each country, you got list of sorry you got services. For each country, you got a service which will provide that customer details. Okay, yeah. Now you see, and each service has got its own URL, let's say separate URL. Initially, so these are all root resource classes. Assume that these are all RESTful services. They are all RESTful web services. They got their they got separate URLs, let's say. Okay. Now what I want to do is here, I don't want to maintain a separate URL for each resource class here. I don't want to maintain a separate URL. Instead, I want a uniform URL to access all the services. Now, from the client's or from the customer's view, they should have only a single URL to fetch that customer details. So you will have a separate service to fetch each country customer details, but I want a uniform URL to access all the services. I want uniform URL to access all the services. That is what my requirement is. Okay. Yes. Hope you got it, all of you, right? So you got separate services. That means for each service you got a URL, separate URL. But what I want to do is I want let the services be separate, but I want a uniform URL for all the services to access the services. Okay. That is my requirement. So we can make all the services as sub-resource classes. Instead of root resource classes, we can make them sub-resource classes. That means they will not have any URL configured. This way, you see, I'll show you people just a minute. So this is one of the sub-resource which will fetch Indian customer details, let's say. Okay. So we got a customer class. It's just a plain Java class which holds customer details, let's say. It holds customer details, let's say. You see, customer ID, name, first name, and address. That's it. Hope you got it. Next, similarly, we got another service sub-resource class here, which will fetch the customer details of UK, let's say. Okay. Similarly, for US also, let's say you have one sub-resource class here. Okay. For US also, you got one sub-resource class. For none of the resource classes, we have this URL. Okay. Now, how can we access this sub-resource classes then? Okay, before that, I would like to show you people an interface. Now all these sub resource classes they implement this method, so which is used to fetch the custom details. Okay. See, this is an interface, and you have this resource method definition here. It's an interface, right? Just method definition. You got this right and right. Now, how do we access the sub resources? You see, but you'll find that all the sub resources they implement this interface. Now comes the important thing here, that is sub resource locator. Sub resource locator. So sub resource locator, you know, it is used to access that sub resources. Okay, sub resource locator's responsibility is to take the client's request and return the appropriate sub resource class reference to the framework. You got the point? Sub resource locators responsibility is to take the client's request and return the sub resource locator reference. Sorry, sub resource reference. I can say. Return the sub resource reference. Yes. Okay. So what it is doing, you see, we have a method. This method get customer DB. Okay. You see, for this class, you got a URL. We are using path annotation here. That means it's like a normal root resource class itself. You see, you have methods and all this. It just looks like a normal root resource class. That's it. Here, you see, for this root resource class, we got a path parameter. We have one path. We have one path parameter for this root resource class method. That is sub resource class method. It takes one path parameter. That is a country code. Okay. This method takes country code. Okay. That is a path parameter. And you see that sub resource class methods, they take customer ID. They take customer ID. Okay. It takes a customer ID. It takes a customer ID. So now what exactly this sub-resource locator method is doing here? Can you people tell me what exactly it is doing? Yeah, that is right. You rightly noticed. You will not have get here, but instead you'll have get for the sub-resource classes. Sub-resource class methods will have it. Okay, that request method designator will use it for sub-resource classes. Sub-resource class methods. Now you see, you will find that sub-resource locator method, it takes that country name as input and it will check which country name it is, and based on the country name it returns the appropriate sub-resource class object reference. It returns the appropriate sub-resource class object reference, I can say. It returns the sub-resource class object reference. Okay, so to whom they are returning, who will call this class, that method, get customer db method? The framework will call it. How do we call this method? Can you people tell me the URL to call this method? Yes. Can you people tell me the URL to call this method? Yes. Customers, and how many path parameters we have to pass? One is country code and the other one is country ID. Okay. So the country code for the sub resource locator and the country ID for the sub resource. Let's do this. So customers slash country code, let's say US, slash country ID, let's say something like this 103. I'll just press enter. Let's add prefix rest. Add prefix rest. Oh, sorry, just a minute. Let me redeploy this application once, okay? Yes, you see, it works. Says you got US address. Now you see down here in the console, it will display the details. First, sub-resource locators get customer DPA method is called. Intern it calls that sub-resource customer US REST service. Similarly, first I'll clear the console. Now I'll place a request for this. I'll pass a country code as IND India. This time, let's see. So this time the sub resource locator is called again, and which in turn calls it won't call it, but it returns that sub resource locate sub resource reference related to that Indian customers to the framework. So framework will take that, and in turn it will call that method. You see, to call that method, the framework what it does, okay, framework is taking this reference which is written by the sub resource locator, okay. Sub resource locator method is returning that sub resource object reference. So framework will take it and it will check the client is placing the request using which HTTP method. And based on that method, it finds that based on that HTTP method, it will see this methods in the sub resource. You see here it is a get method. Client is placing a get method. You got a get method which takes one path parameter, so it will call this method. Again, it follows the same rules. Okay, yeah, there won't be any difference. So that means, you see, basically what we are trying to achieve here. Can someone explain this? Can you people summarize this, what we did here using sub resources and sub resource locator? So that means we are able to group set of similar sub resources together. We are trying to group similar sorry here we are able to assign a uniform URL to set of resource classes here, I can say, right? For set of resource classes we are able to give a uniform URL. So that is what we are trying to achieve, right? Yes, so they have got similar functionality now. So it would be more easy to access this root resources here with the help of that URL. Yes. Now there are no more root resources. Of course, they have got every feature of a root resource. The only thing is that URL will be missing. That's it. Except that all other things are same. Okay. Yeah. So hope you people got it. Yes. So any questions in this regard, please let me know. Okay, good. So this is about your RESTful services. Now we'll also learn SOAP-based web services, and then we'll try to compare this RESTful services with SOAP-based web services, and we'll see the difference and you'll understand it. Okay, yeah. So that's all. Fine. So with this, I'll conclude it, and I'll stop the session here today. Let's meet on Monday again at our regular time, and we'll continue discussion. Okay. Yeah. So today evening there is no class, and tomorrow, that is Monday for you people, at our regular time, 8 p.m. Central Time. We'll continue discussion. So I'll be talking about SOAP-based web services. Yeah. Okay then. Thank you all. Bye bye.